should I continue doing this? Am I really making an impact? You're going to have more coaches leave, and in the end, the coaches you really want to be here are the ones that got into it for the right reason, not the coach who just said, gosh, I could make a bunch of money there. It's just have the courage to do the right thing for the right reason.
Hey everyone, my name is Pat Cohan, and in this special THSADA Director's Cut, we're featuring Trev Alberts, the athletic director at Texas A&M. Trev was an All-American linebacker at Nebraska, a national broadcaster for ESPN, and now leading one of the largest college programs in the country. In our conversation, Trev reflects on the current challenges facing coaches and athletic administrators, from the NIL's uncertainty, the emotional strain on staff, and why it's more important than ever to return to the fundamentals: development, culture, and mission-aligned leadership. Whether you're leading a high school program or navigating the collegiate space, Trev's insights remind us that while the landscape has changed, the why behind the work still matters. Special thanks goes out to PBK for making this episode possible. And one more thing, fall forum registration is open, so make sure to go to THSADA.com to join us in San Antonio on October 5th and 6th. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this THSADA Director's Cut.
We're just getting out of the AD panel, and those are really interesting because you get popcorn in these questions and there's jokes on stage. But if the cameras are turned off from that session, what do you wish you would have drove home after doing that session?
I think we did a pretty good job, but I think so many times, especially in a world of chaos, where I suppose there's people in that room wondering, should I continue doing this? Am I really making an impact? I got into this because I believed in the development of young people, and all the stuff I hear about all the time is money, business, and you start to second guess whether, is this really still right for me? And I think what's really important is that while college athletics is going to look different, what we've been going through the last 3 to 4 years, think about so many of these leaders. They just went through COVID. That was unbelievably challenging. And then you get into this totally unregulated market where there's just chaos. And it gets really frustrating. It's tiring. And you just start second guessing whether or not, whether this is as important as you thought it was. And it is. We're going to get this thing regulated. We're going to get it back on track. It might look slightly different. But I actually think we're going to get back to the real things that we all got into this, was actually serving young people, because development, coaching, and recruiting is going to really matter, and not just whoever has the most donor dollars to buy and retain talent at the highest level. That's not what any of us signed up for. So I think we talked about it, but I really hope everybody in that room understands how important the role they play, both at their school that they serve, their coaches, as well as those young people.
Well, and how do you, because you're in the mix of it, right? You're in all those big conversations with the big dollars, those zeros. And how do you get your staff and your coaches to not lose faith in why they got into it, right? We've seen a whole lot of coaches get out of the game because they just don't want to deal with it. They're not a broker.
I can see the stress on our coaches. In fact, I talk about it all the time with Commissioner Sankey and the rest of my colleagues. Like, we're killing our coaches. Our coaches got into, of course, they want to make a great living and they want to pay market rate. But our coaches got into this because they love ball, whatever it is, and they love helping young people. And much of those core values that drew them, years ago, you don't get to Texas A&M. Mike Elko started out at the lowest level of coaching, and he grew and he learned and he went and he grew all the way to get to a place like Texas A&M. And all along the way, it was about development, coaching, culture. And then you get to a place like A&M, and suddenly, because of an unregulated market, you find yourself doing things that you didn't sign up for. And so we try to encourage them. It's been easy for me to say, just trust us. I was on the committee. It's going to happen. We've been waiting now 2.5 weeks for a final decision from Judge Wilkin. And so, you're just trying to encourage them. But the reality is, and nobody feels sorry for them, right? Because people read about what their salaries are, but it's taken a real toll on coaches. And you're right, coaches have left. If we don't get this thing figured out soon, You're going to have more coaches leave. And in the end, the coaches you really want to be here are the ones that got into it for the right reason, not the coach who just said, gosh, I could make a bunch of money there.
How do you identify the coaches that are really in it for the right reasons that you know will be successful once they come into your system?
Well, you know, it's not hard to figure out. It really isn't. I mean, you can have a conversation really quickly. And one of the things I love to ask coaches during recruiting when we're, in the hiring process, and I haven't had, I'm still early for me here, so I haven't had a whole lot of that experience. But I always like to ask coaches, like, if you weren't coaching, what would you be doing? And it's really interesting. The coaches that, some of them just look at me like I'm from another planet and go, well, what do you mean? I'm a coach. I will be coaching. If I'm not coaching here, I'm going to be coaching there, or I'm going to be coaching Little League, or I am a coach. And that's a very different answer than somebody who just lights up and their true passions actually come out, because this is just a diversion, and maybe they're interested in the benefits of the position other than the true, thing that attracts them to it, which is, at the core of coaching is development and leadership. And that's just what I've done, and I could tell real quickly why they're in it. And it doesn't mean that people who are in it for the fringe benefits can't be successful. There's been a lot of successful coaches. I would just prefer that not be the part of the culture of Texas A&M.
You've been around some great coaches through your career, as all the way up to the NFL and everything that you've done. What are some of those leadership lessons, those little nuggets that have stayed with you through your time in the networks, your time in this roller coaster of a college career, and now on the committee that's trying to go through this legal battle? What rings in the back of your mind of like, oh yeah, Coach X said that, and I think it's still true?
Well, first of all, when I've observed great leaders, number one, they have a few attributes, like they are genuine and authentic. They are who they purport to be. They're not, some people have this very carefully crafted public image, and the truth and reality of them as an individual doesn't match that if you really got to know them. The best leaders I've been around, Tom Osborne was exactly who he presented himself to be. And then the other piece that he taught us, and I've been around him the most, that's why, but R.C. Slocum, so many of them, is just have the courage to do the right thing for the right reason. And I think about this a lot. When you're in a position like I am, obviously there's a lot of pressure. And, we have a lot of pressure to win. And there's a lot of opinions about coaches and should he or she still be in this role. As a leader, you're often faced with making decisions that might be either more comfortable to you or actually might be beneficial to you from a career perspective. And secondarily, the inverse of that is also true. There's decisions that might be in the best interest of Texas A&M that really are not in my personal best interest. At the end of the day, Coach Osborne and others taught me there's a lot of definitions about integrity. And we've all heard them. But the one that I really enjoy is integrity is attempting to discern what is right and what is wrong and acting on what is right even at the potential risk of personal loss.